everyone. Welcome to another episode of the GTM Rapidfire. For this episode, we have the wonderful Meenal joining us. Meenal is a product marketing leader, an advisor, PMM coach. She has done product marketing for more than a decade now, worked at companies like DoorDash, Dropbox, Adobe. And yeah, I'll let Meenal introduce herself and tell us about her wonderful journey till now. Meenal, the stage is yours.
Hi, Kritika. Thanks for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. I have worked more than a decade now, almost close to 17 years. I began my career in CPG back in India, where I worked at Unilever and L'Oreal as a brand manager, a role that's kind of like quite broad. It's almost like a general manager role. I handled everything from product strategy, marketing to sales. So, in this experience really helped me understand launches, managing portfolios from more like a business standpoint and also a customer standpoint. At Unilever, I learned the importance of research and talking to customers. We used to have quotas for customer research that everyone, including VPs, had as a part of their deliverables and OKRs. So and my last role in India was with Mahindra. It's an auto giant there, and I was brought in to bring my CPG magic in the automobile world. Just to give you an idea, back then, automobile was like a very fuddy-duddy industry, mostly male-dominated, with people like having 30 plus years of experience. And here I was kind of like a newbie in that industry and was the first female hire who was not from the industry. So this was like one of my best experiences in life where I learned how to earn a seat at the table by focusing on your strengths and constantly ensuring you're understanding your audience as well. I relaunched 3 products and handled everything from product development to launches, which in automobile development means like a huge, long cycle, not like tech where you kind of like change the code. So it was like super interesting and it helped me build a lot of my PMM competencies. Post that, I moved to Bay Area and couldn't escape tech. And here I have worked at product marketing, which was like a natural transition for me. My first role was at AutoCAD mobile app at Autodesk. So I was the first PMM for AutoCAD mobile app, more or less a very ground up PMM role. So did everything from positioning, messaging, audience insighting. Again, I built like a research a methodology here, created like a online research council, which accelerated the research work. Then moved to Adobe. Here I worked on Adobe XD. The things I learned here differently in PMM was growth, product marketing. So we followed the Reforge growth model, and I started experimenting and understanding how experiments are conducted. How do you build the hypotheses? How you run them? How you measure those experiments? And how do you learn and move on from them? Then joined Dropbox. Here I led a major pricing study along with the PM to evaluate different licensing options. So that was I had done pricing in CPG, but this was my pricing project in a tech environment. Then I moved to DoorDash. This was my first role at a marketplace product. So that's interesting because marketplace is super complex. You can't think of like one part and ignore the other. So I was working from the B2B side, but I had to consider how customers are viewing my marketing portfolio. I launched their first ad product in the market in a record time of 3 months. So that was super exciting. Post that, I joined another small startup called Style Seat, another marketplace. Here I was owning the pricing. So I rehauled the entire pricing, aligned the C-suite, conducted ton of research, and launched pricing and tested pricing in phases. Helped the product team build a product roadmap. And other than that, I do have like my own small entrepreneurial spirit where I coach PMMs, I teach product marketing courses, and I also consult startups, and I speak at industry events.
Lovely. That is such an inspiring journey that you've had. And it was so lovely, like just listening you, talk about everything that you have done with such passion. You mentioned you have switched industries so many times. And like, you come from an engineering background and did a little bit of research. And then, you've shifted to growth and you're talking about product marketing at like some small startups. And then like we're talking about like, the DoorDash or like a Dropbox. These are like bigger companies, and like now you're taking more of an advisor role on the side as well. I really want to know, like, if you had to like mention any pivotal moments in terms of any campaigns that you did, or in general it could be just like an insight that that happened and you feel like that was something that flipped a switch and like made you who you are today. I'm sure there must be a lot, but if anything.
There There are so many, but it's interesting that yes, I am in the Bay Area and surrounded with tech. My example actually comes from automobile, from industry I had no clue, and I joined there because they wanted the consumer CPG angle in that industry. Again, as I mentioned, I used to attend meetings where people would be like, "Good morning, gentlemen and Meenal." I was the only female. So you're not only fighting and building the credibility, it was incredibly intimidating and difficult. Having said that, I had wonderful colleagues, I had wonderful boss. Managers who supported and uplifted me, and I remember I was relaunching two of my portfolio scooters. So I was managing scooters, which here we call bikes, but they are lower CC bikes. So yes, my engineering background did help me in terms of understanding, but it was a complex market, and I was supposed to relaunch a product that had failed. So it was a lot of pressure. And unlike like I would say most of the tech product, this was a product which, if you fail at, you're dealing with someone's life. And that just stuck to me like really, really badly. Like before that, I was selling like cosmetics and creams, like a person might just get a pimple because they had an allergic reaction to your cream. But we had a very intense research department. But here you're dealing with someone's life. If your automobile, your scooter, your bike is not working well, that person might die. And that hit me because one of the first things I started, like I had to learn the industry, I had to learn the customers. So the one thing I started doing was like, started attending customer service calls. That was my job. I just did that like for 1 month, just attending customer calls. One of the customer calls really hit me hard and kind of like opened my eyes to what exactly I am doing and what my responsibilities are. A customer called me and said, "Hey, I almost died because your bike failed in the middle of the highway." I was like, "Oh my God, tell me more." And it was like a great experience of handling and learning who your customers are, what you're dealing, what your product, where are the gaps. And that really helped me build my relaunch strategy, what we should focus, what we should not. And that helped me tremendously. Just listening to the customers really made me much better in the industry knowledge. I used to do a ton of field visits. So I would go and travel across the country to the dealerships, learning and seeing how people are selling, what are they asking, who are the decision makers, what each decision maker cares about, what are those things which matters to them, how is our brand perceived, what are the things which are working, what are the things which are not working. And all of this groundwork really helped me rethink about what are the important things we should be thinking when we are relaunching this brand. Relaunches are very difficult. You're not only changing the way your product functions, you're changing maybe the tone of your brand, you're changing the messaging. So all of this legwork really, really helped me to always be customer first. Think through the lens of the customers and then pivot as needed. You need to be very, very agile. You need to have that lens, the learner's mindset, and then work cross functionally with the team, bring them along in the journey and kind of like make it successful and constantly keep that pulse on the customer to understand how has your launches translated and affected them.
That's so inspiring, and I'm like, it speaks volumes about like the kind of work you've done, and the what stood out for me was like how agile and like how strong you were throughout this. I'm sure it must not be easy, to be the only woman trying to figure everything out, in a very male-dominated field. But like clearly you've done wonders. And I'm sure that has shaped you a lot as a PMM coach today, and it might also reflect in like the advice that you give to like a female, PMM or someone that's up and coming in the industry. On that note, I want to ask is you speak to the stakeholders right now, you speak to PMMs, and there's this entire AI wave coming up that AI is going to take our jobs. AI can do a lot of like the entry level basic jobs, right? So it's quite changing. In this scenario, overall, whatever is happening, what do you think are the top skills right now that sort of help people stand out in a job market that's probably not that favorable towards us?
Yeah. And I have like, I would love to start with a quote, and this has been used massively everywhere. It's not AI is not going to replace you, but people who use AI smartly will replace you. And I strongly believe that. And in this scenario, the way I think of it is in two parts. First thing, you should focus on sharpening your core PMM skills. Your fundamentals should be very strong. Go deeper, go broader, really learn what great positioning looks like, how to segment based on value, how to design pricing that makes sense, how to run GTMs that are more than a checklist. Being that like having that solid foundation is very important. And that's how you will challenge those AI systems when they are helping you produce those things. Without that, you would be just using AI to replace you rather than empower you. So that's very, very important. Most PMMs know of these things. The difference is how well you can really execute too, right? AI cannot execute those things. So that executional genius should also be there. How do you think strategically and how do you translate those strategies into execution beautifully is where you're connecting the dot. And how would you do that? Your job is not just like skills and strategies, but also includes a very important thing, which is the human angle, which I keep mentioning. And that can never be replaced by AI. AI, it will be very difficult to bring the teams along, understand the sentiments, understand how to break silos, bring that real cross-functional connective tissue. That cannot be replaced by AI. How can you do those things and leverage AI to give you that chance, give you that freedom, free time to focus on these things, are major, major things. Also, at the same time, get stronger at the business side. Know how your work ties into the company goals, whether it's revenue, retention, or expansion. Learn how to prioritize things which would which would move the needle. And the best PMMs are the ones who can speak the language of business and customers. And so, and the second part of it is like embrace AI. Like I've seen a lot of people talking about AI. This sounds like AI. This sounds like, AI has written. Maybe because you never put a thought in it. Use AI to automate the boring stuff, not replace you. Not replace your thinking, but to challenge your thinking. It should be, you should be able to like think faster with AI, do things which you couldn't have otherwise done, you know. But having said that, AI should be treated more like a thought partner. You should go and try out different tools, research, writing, synthesis, and like, why not? Like, AI has given voice to many. So use that rather than being ashamed of like, oh, I'm using AI to write copy. Think about how you are using AI to write better copy based on your core PMM competencies that you have developed over a period of time through your experience, through your work. So, in short, master the core, build your strategic and business muscle, and use AI to scale your thinking and your output.
That is great advice. I'm sure, I love the quote whenever anyone says, embrace AI. Because we've been as a writer, I've also, and someone that love M dashes, one of the ways to like identify AI
Yeah.
generated content is like by M dashes, and I don't like it because I can't use it anymore. And sometimes I write it, I use M dashes, and people are like, "Oh, AI, ChatGPT has written that," but I really liked how you said that, we should be like okay with that uh, sort of like taking shape and then sort of move forward from there. Going deeper
Feel
into
like,
like, yeah,
people have started becoming judgmental about people who are using AI. Rather, think about, oh, Ritika used AI in this fashion, and I see these are the points which are missing. How you could have done well using AI
yeah,
is something you should be thinking, not like bashing the person who's using AI.
yes, yes, perfect. Yeah, exactly my thoughts. I'm glad someone said that. Just want to like go deeper into one of a core PMM, problems that a lot of SaaS companies today are facing. This is on the pricing side, and you've worked very much into it. Uh, if you can like share some tips, frameworks that sort of help to craft a very good pricing strategy. You can use any like what's happening today, how SaaS pricing has been done today, or like anything from your experience as well. Would love to know if you have any frameworks or how do you think about pricing strategy.
Yeah, most of the PMMs have never worked on pricing or are not involved and are brought in usually towards the end. And I was fortunate enough to work on pricing, many pricing projects from CPG to tech. And the reason I love pricing because it brings together customer psychology, business strategy, and positioning. I say pricing is three components: your price point, your packaging, as in like what goes in that in those tiers, and lastly your perceived value. This is super important because that's how a customer is willing to pay, like the price which you want them to pay. So that's super important. So if you think of all of these, PMMs can kind of shape, and they have a lot of data points which would help uh, you derive those values. You are very close to the customers, the competition, the market, so you exactly know how competitors are pricing, how your customers or or your prospects are viewing your pricing versus competition pricing. You have a lot of data of churn, you have NPS data, which might give you signals in terms of like what's missing, what customers would be willing to pay, is price an issue when they are leaving, or what is making customers not retain. So all that information is something you can tie in to make like very solid pricing decisions. Any pricing would start with like analyzing what the competitors are doing, what's your willingness of your customers to pay, what features matters to them, what are their current frustrations and pain points, and also what is available to them, right? And that kind of like are the key things which define pricing. The second other thing is like segmentation, right? What are these? what are your key segments, and what's their willingness to pay? What kind of features matter to them? So all of these inputs are crucial when you are designing your pricing like strategy and everything. And then the second thing comes on, like based on all these inputs which you have done, you also work with finance to understand what your current revenue streams look like, what's the impact of each feature, what does those how is your revenue coming from, what are your revenue streams, what's getting impacted, what's not getting impacted. Go into that depth. That's where the business acumen comes in, right? Here you're thinking more a little bit from a business standpoint rather than and seeing like, hey, this is the customer standpoint, this is the market standpoint, this is where we are making business, this is where we are kind of like not being able to earn more revenue because the way we are priced. So it's all about mixing that and creating concepts which you would want to test and research. Pricing is not something you can like just tweak. You might want to do some research. So you could use a ton of research techniques to come up with like maybe what's the range of that pricing looks like, maybe what kind of features you should be thinking about, what's the best mix of features, and then kind of like go talk to your customers, your prospects, your churn customers, all of them, to understand what would be the effect of these new concepts, what is their new willingness to pay, and what's the perceived value, right? And based on that, you can think about like what could be your price experiments looks like and rolling them out. So that's more like the GTM side of pricing. But having said that, a lot of what the fundamentals of pricing requires is something a PMM can offer and has access to. It's all about like connecting the dots and kind of like become and creating a business case for pricing and aligning your cross-functional partners, bringing that um, inputs so that your cross-functional partners think that yes, PMM should be involved, if not lead. So that's how I would think of PMMs who want to get into pricing.
That's really helpful and was very elaborate. Thank you so much for sharing that. I want to come back to your journey as a PMM coach, and you must be talking to a lot of people and sort of coaching them through their careers. What right now do you think are the common mistakes that you're seeing people make? Something about the industry that they are not understanding well, not adapting well. What is it? Where do you see the gap?
I think the PMMs, if they are coming from a different industry, they do take the effort to learn and everything. Most of the PMMs are customer centric. I think one of the biggest mistake I see is PMMs are not aligning their work to company level goals. So when your OKRs aren't tied to what business is trying to achieve, it's easy to get pulled in every direction. And that's when PMMs are more like order takers, more reactive versus being and are saying yes to many things, doing a lot but not driving meaningful impact. And that in the long run leads to burnout and frustration. So that's very important. How are you thinking about your OKRs? So come up with a strategy, understand what your company is trying to achieve, come up with the strategy and then tactics that would align to those OKRs. And then publish them, align your cross-functional partners so that they know what you are working on. Most of the time, they don't know what PMMs are working on, so they know. And then once you start accomplishing those, start publishing and making that visible so that they know how your impact is being seen for moving the needle for your company OKRs. Another mistake is being not able to clearly communicate your own impact. As in, like, PMMs are usually great at telling stories about customers or products, but they're not strong at positioning their own contributions internally. If you can't show your research, launch, adoption work, or enablement actually moves the needle, it's easy to get overlooked. So how do you build your own positioning and your own story and visibility is super, super important. And I have also seen PMMs getting stuck between insights and action, the last thing, which is like they gather great feedback from customers and sales, but don't always turn those feedback into strong, strategic, actionable things which teams can drive. So that's where influence comes in. Like, PMMs rarely have formal authority, so being able to connect the dots and align the teams is very key. So how are you bringing those insights and ensuring those insights are taken into action are very important.
Perfect. Yes, I especially really liked your advice on the internal marketing. I remember someone said that to me very early on in my career, that internal marketing is as important as the external marketing that you do. Make sure you talk about your work enough. And I'm sure, like, a lot of people face, issues with that. Um, on that note, where do you think the PMMs should invest their energy, like their learning energy, here in 2025, keeping in mind all the AI advancements, the job market, uh, and how it's going to turn out for the next few months at least? Where do you think how they should think about their upskilling?
Yeah, I mentioned about others before, it's about a mastering the craft of PMM. It takes time and it takes effort. Okay, so mastering that really well is very, very important. So start with that. Go through all the PMM competencies, see where and rate yourself honestly. See where your superpowers lies and where you think you might need more help. Focus on both so that you balance the thing. And lastly, start thinking about AI differently and how you could redefine your role if needed so that you can move forward. That's super important. I think embrace AI. Don't think of AI to replace things. Think of AI as a thought partner, as like someone who could help you build your skills further, who could think of it as a blind spot. So some games I play with AI is like I'll write a reply to something, and then I would ask and challenge AI to challenge me and kind of see where I could improve. And next time I start thinking like that, you know, and then I'm asking AI to further challenge me. So here I'm trying to master my own skills, and that's how I'm training my internal LLM systems too, as the AI is training theirs.
I think AI as a thought partner, it's such a beautiful line. I'm sure like some startups gonna steal it and like make it into their tagline. But yeah, thank you so much for those lovely insights. I had a lot of other follow-up questions, and I'm sure we can just go on and on about this. But we are bound by time, and it was great to have you share all these amazing insights with us. Thank you so much. If there are any other parting tips and tricks that you have, please take it away.
Thank you so much for having me. It's exciting to talk to different marketeers and learn from them. I feel the best tip is keep learning, keep evolving, keep challenging yourself, keep pushing yourself to do things which might not be comfortable, and keep learning.